If you want to understand the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Nikola Tesla. You're not just watching this video, you're feeling it. And if you stay until the end, you'll understand why. This isn't just an analysis of Tesla's brilliant ideas. This might be the most accurate test you've ever taken. A test that reveals whether you're still living in the old world or whether you've already tuned into a different frequency. The very one Tesla believed was the key to everything. Most people know Tesla as a great inventor ahead of his time, but few know that he truly believed every person is an antenna. And the higher your internal vibration, the closer you are to the energy of the source. No, this isn't esotericism, this is physics. The kind he never got to fully explain, because part of his work was confiscated, and part simply ignored. The idea seemed too strange, that our thoughts, behavior, even our destiny, are all results of tuning into a specific wave. Today we'll show you what it means to live on Tesla's frequency, why such people often cause electronics to break, why they don't fit into society, why they dream dreams that aren't theirs, and most importantly, why they can never just live like everyone else. If you recognize yourself in at least 3 of these signs, maybe you've already been connected to something greater, and this video isn't a coincidence, it's a calling. Let's begin. You've probably heard of Tesla's frequency. Maybe you've seen the quote while scrolling through stories, or heard about it in some pseudo-scientific video, but be honest. How many times have you actually felt those words? Not just with your eyes, but with something deeper. For Tesla, vibration wasn't philosophy, it was a coordinate system. He believed everything we see, sound, light, thought, matter, are just forms of vibration. You are not a thought, you're a receiver, not a source of energy, but a transformer. That's why, according to his theory, not everyone lives in the same reality, because reality is a frequency. You don't think thoughts, you pick them up. You don't feel emotions. You tune into a frequency where those emotions already exist. Your decisions, they don't come from will. They arise from the frequency your essence is tuned to. This is why you sometimes don't understand why everything feels different for you. Why small talk exhausts you. Why you don't fit in. Why you can't just live like everyone else. Maybe it's not your personality, it's your tuning. Too high frequency for the ordinary world. One person in a crowd feels anxiety, another, a sense of purpose. One short circuits electronics, another seems to energize them. You don't know why, but it's been like this since the beginning. Tesla said, the human brain is not a storage unit, it's a resonator. He received signals from outside, not within. He could feel the field, anticipate events, and most of all, he believed that some people already live not in the future, but in a different range. Have you ever noticed this? Technology glitches around you, especially when you're emotional. Before important events, your body vibrates. You sense lies before a word is spoken. Sometimes you simply can't sleep, as if something is calling. If even one of these feels familiar, it's not nonsense. These are the signals Tesla described. He called them signs of threshold vibration. On low frequencies, you live by habit. You fear, you compare. On higher ones, or nuda, you begin to see signals, as if you're remembering something you were never taught. On the highest frequencies, the need to explain disappears. You just act in resonance. He slept 2 hours a night, ate almost nothing, lived in a hotel, walked at night. He claimed, A person can live not by food, but by frequency. That gravity isn't a force, but the result of resonance between the body and the earth. That the soul isn't mystical, but a structure in the electromagnetic grid of the universe. Yes, they called him crazy. Yes, some of his work disappeared. But if you're feeling right now that all this speaks to you, maybe you are that receiver, the one that's finally tuned in. Next, we'll show you the signs, the ones that will confirm you're not just searching for yourself, you're already on the frequency. Tesla's frequency. 7 signs. You're already living on Tesla's frequency without realizing it. You won't find these signs in textbooks. They can't be measured by instruments. But you'll feel them if you're one of those already living differently. 1. You struggle with living on schedule. People on Tesla's frequency are intuitive. You can't force yourself into linear time. It's hard to obey alarms, strict routines, or rigid schedules. You may not know the exact hour, but you always feel the moment. You move to a rhythm that's not in sync with everyone else. And it's not laziness, it's alignment. As if you live not by the clock, but by the field. 2. You feel people before they speak. Tesla said we are all vibrational beings. When you're on his frequency, you're a radar. You may not know the details, but you read the room. You walk in and instantly sense who's drained, who's angry, who's hollow. You're not necessarily an empath. You're just tuned into a different spectrum. You don't hear words, you hear frequency. 3. Technology acts weird around you. Your calls drop. Your clocks break. Sometimes mics cut out, screens freeze, phones die for no reason. Coincidence? There are too many of them. People vibrating above the normal range do distort electromagnetic fields. Even Tesla claimed a person can affect machines if their field is unstable or too strong. 4. You can't just live like everyone else. You've tried. The steady job, regular meals, small joys. But something inside won't let you settle. You don't get the race. You don't see value in status. You see the system and feel you don't belong to it. It's not rebellion, it's knowing. Like some part of you remembers there's something more beyond all this. 5. You dream dreams that aren't yours. Yes, you sleep, but you wake up feeling like you lived someone else's life. You were someone else, somewhere else, in another time, in another body, or saw scenes with no connection to your current life. You may not have an explanation, but you're certain it wasn't just a dream. It was a connection, a signal from a field you're already beginning to access. And you know, it's not random. 6. You say things you didn't know you knew. Sometimes words come out of your mouth that no one told you. You write thoughts that feel like they came from somewhere else. You don't always understand where from. Sometimes you worry you're making it up. But then you see how precise those words are. Like you've become a channel, like you are just the antenna. Tesla once said, "My brain is only a receiver. In the universe, there is a core from which we obtain knowledge, strength, and inspiration. I have not penetrated the secrets of this core, but I know it exists." 7. You can't stay asleep for long. You might get tired, fall into apathy, crisis, or doubt, but sooner or later, something pulls you back. You return to yourself. You can't live blind for too long because your field is too sensitive to falsehood. You feel where there's a lie, where the truth is being avoided, where there's noise instead of signal. And no matter how hard you try to pretend to be normal, you always return to your depth. If you recognized yourself in even 3 of these signs, and you don't have to understand it all, but you're already tuned in. Not because you're special, but because you remembered. And maybe, just maybe, you're watching this video not by chance, but by resonance. What to do? If you recognized yourself and why Tesla warned about it. Did you recognize yourself in these signs? Good. But that's just the beginning, because tuning into another frequency is not a privilege. It's a responsibility, and it's not always easy. Tesla once said, "Humanity is not ready for my discoveries. They don't need technology. They need to understand their own essence, but they're afraid of it." He didn't say it with resentment. He said it with clarity, because he knew. To live on a different frequency means to live without protection, without illusions, without masks, without the usual anchors. What do you lose when you tune into Tesla's frequency? You can no longer pretend that everything is normal. You can't close your eyes to falsehood, not in yourself, not in others. You can't keep doing what's expected if it doesn't resonate with your inner truth. And that's scary. Because the world wasn't built for you, it wants you to come back down. Back to the familiar noise, to the patterns, to the struggle, but what do you gain? You gain incredible clarity. You begin to hear, not with your ears, but with space. You see that many things are just loops, and you have a way out. That's exactly what Tesla felt in his final years. He barely spoke to people, lived in a hotel room, walked at night, talked to birds. People thought he was strange, but he simply couldn't live like everyone else anymore. One of his last journal entries said, I feel the vibrations of the world. They're like music, but not for the ears. It's a pattern. I'm inside it, and when I speak, I'm just giving it form." He stopped writing formulas. He drew waves, cycles, polarities. He tried to capture what cannot be put into words. Everything is frequency, and you are part of the tuning. And here you are, watching this, feeling something inside you stir. Maybe you can't explain it, but it's resonating within. So what now? Accept that not everyone will understand you. You are not for everyone, and that doesn't make you superior. It simply means you're on a different bandwidth. Be silent more often. Frequency is felt in silence. Words distort. Listen, not just with your ears. Listen with your skin, your body, your sleep, with synchronicities. Don't chase explanations. The mind is an antenna. But truth doesn't speak in words. It resonates. It either is, or it isn't, and you recognize it by the stillness inside. One day you'll feel something shift. You enter a familiar place, and everything feels different. You hear music, and it sounds deeper. You look at people, and you see they are asleep, and not with judgment, but with love. You're already awake, not to save anyone, but to live differently. In one of his last interviews, Tesla said, "A person who lives in truth doesn't need to persuade. He simply resonates, and the world around either responds or disappears. That is your task, not to prove, but to be, like a tuning fork, like alignment, like light that doesn't fight darkness, but because it doesn't even know it exists. And maybe that's why you're here. Not just to discover the signs, but to remember your tuning, the one you were born with, the one you forgot. But now, you remembered." Final question: how do you know you're truly aligned? The answer is simple. You stop asking the question. If this feels like you, then write about it, not for likes, but so that other tuned-in souls can recognize the signal. And remember, they're not alone. Because that's how we connect, not in words, but in the frequency that only the awakened can hear.